Oh, Notes address. I got this thing. I literally got this thing. Did you? Yeah. Yeah. Keep right to the end. Midnight. I'm gonna step down in college. Did I say that too loud? 59. Right to the end. I get a kick out of emails. Yeah, dear John. Dear John. That's like, dear John. I didn't know we were friends. Our governor sent us an email. Start out with dear John.
So he is leaving.
This is one.
That's good.
That's good. That is a good one.
It sounded more like a speech in an inaugural. No, this is what it's doing.
Oh, meeting to order. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Is there a motion to approve this evening's agenda?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Move on to public comment. If you could please provide your name, address, and limit your comments to 3 minutes or less, we'd appreciate it. Mr. Hayden?
You want to do it now or you want to do it after?
Well, this is public comment, so if you have something to say, there is another public comment at the end, so you're welcome to speak at either or both.
I'd like to speak at the end.
Okay. No one else I take it would like to speak. Next, we will go to the town board response regarding the Military Memorial Committee. This is a board discussion regarding the report that came from the Citizens Advisory Committee for a military memorial that was submitted on August 9th, 2021, that was prepared for the Mendon Town Board. You all have received a copy of this in advance, had a chance to look at it, and so I will open up the discussion amongst the board.
I'll say a few things. I think we said a lot 2 weeks ago. Muffy and committee. I think the effort was thorough. I think the effort was committed to the right purpose, which was to do right by people that suffered so dearly. So I believe that the work done, the full comprehensive study of how to handle such an important thing was done well. And I think probably as important is it was delivered to us in a way that made it clear that they had done the job, but it also made it clear that they had come up with a final solution, recommendation, for their words, and then an alternative. And I don't really, once we go through and rehash it all, I don't think that's necessary. I believe the work that was done was of impeccable quality, and I'm more than happy to support that solution.
I would agree with John. I was part of the committee and I know we spent many hours talking, listening to each other, being respectful of each other's opinions and ideas. And we went through all of the town properties and eventually narrowed things down so that we had something we could more appropriately work with in order to come up with recommendations for this board. as I said, many hours. And a lot of discussion and a lot of emotion.
I would like to add that I was extremely impressed that not only was it very well thought out, it included the families that were so affected. And for me, that was really important. So I appreciate the number of hours and all the work that went into that. So thank you.
Being respectful of the family's wishes was our first and foremost concern, because we certainly want something that they want.
Being on a committee as well, it was humbling every 2 weeks to sit in front of Teresa for an hour-long meeting and talk about the specifics. And I know as hard as it was for each of the committee members, it was very hard for her. In my mind, the thing, it almost like crystallized one moment when she said, and again, we're talking about a memorial that's in the vicinity of the splash park, but the splash park isn't part of the memorial. But it kind of crystallized in my mind one meeting when she said that Christian would go there daily with the kids. So that's when I thought, I think this is what it should be. Again, one member of the board. But so again, I just want to reiterate that.
But she also ended up speaking for the other two families.
Yes,
She did.
she was in contact with them.
With no, that's really no small matter.
No,
No.
Yeah, that really is.
and her passion that she showed at our last meeting very much moved me. So,
I think the thing that I found, number one, is I wanted to thank Muffy and everyone who participated in the committee, because it really was a very thorough report that was presented to the town board. And I thought you covered all the areas. I know we talked about this last month, but I did want to just mention, family considerations, concepts, sites, various proposals. And I think that the considerations of the family and the fact that specifically Mrs. Cope wanted to have something that was positive, that she could take her children to, and they would have a positive remembrance of their father, to me is one of the most important things that will come out of this, because I know each person on this board, and I know each person on this board has a very strong will to see this through. And this is not something that we just get together and talk about month after month after month. We're going to put a shovel in the ground, and we're going to do it soon. We're going to make this happen, no matter what anybody who else thinks might happen. So I would say that I certainly appreciate it. There's two proposals. There's a primary proposal, which is Sumwell Road. There's a secondary proposal, which is the former library that we're currently, it's currently shut down, but it's the youth center on Monroe Street in the village. And obviously this board can decide to put it anywhere it wants to, but those are the recommendations of the committee. So I seriously take those recommendations at their value, which I think is of high value. And I would suggest that we consider tonight deciding on a location, and that we move forward, because I want to see this go forward in a timely fashion, not a quick way, but in a timely fashion, because I think it's important that the community knows that we're heavily invested in this response.
We need to get it right.
Procedurally, how would we do that? Should we vote, can we vote on the recommendation of the committee that we put in place?
Yes, right, Sheldon?
Yes, you can vote to accept the recommendation. So if someone would move to a resolution to accept the recommendation of the committee.
So moved.
We don't have that as an agenda item, does it?
Point of order.
No, we did. Mr.
Oh, maybe.
Mr. Haney, there's public comment is on the agenda. You had an opportunity to speak earlier.
Yes.
And you denied that opportunity. So you will have an opportunity later. Okay, thank you.
We have a motion.
I'll make, oh, go ahead.
So moved.
And I'll second.
Okay.
And that location is somewhere.
Primary.
Correct. Is there any other discussion that board would like to have this time regarding the location? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. At this point, I would like to address the fact that the committee did bring up the fact of a recreational spray park at or near the same location. And this is something that the town board has been considering for quite some time. And when this unfortunate incident happened, we basically put that on hold because we had heard the discussion of Mrs. Coker about how she wanted something that she could take her children to, something positive. And I think that this would be an opportunity, John, if you wouldn't mind, because I really have to give you the most amount of credit for this, because you're the one who talked about this and right from the get-go and quite frankly, turned me around on it. And because I wasn't too crazy about it at the beginning, but I sense it completely changed my mind. So I would give you an opportunity to.
Sure. I guess maybe the background may be based on the fact that within 200 feet of my house in the village of East Rochester, there was a spray park. So I grew up with a spray park and it started spraying at 9 in the morning and sprayed till the lights, the lights came on, which was 9 p.m. in the summer. So I actually grew up around a spray park, even though there was also a pool. But John and I were campaigning at one point many years ago, 4 years ago, actually. And a wonderful resident, I don't remember the road, but she came out, her little kids were all running around, and she asked if there was any opportunity in the town to put some form of recreation besides the, playground that's in the village and that type of stuff. And she said, have you ever thought of a spray park? Kind of had it at that particular moment. And then later on that year, I happened to go to New York City with the town and was at the Association of Town meeting, and there's a little mini vendor show, yeah, and there was a fella selling playgrounds and spray parks, and I collected all this information. I got this book, I studied it, and then I went out to see a couple of them around the greater Rochester area. I was quite impressed because it isn't just the spray park, it's a community gathering place. Each of them had beautiful pavilions with picnic areas and shaded areas and little kids running around having a ball. And I had pushed because my frustration was every year when I looked at the CapEx document, it said, well, we're gonna put a roof on the village or on the town hall. We're gonna put a roof on the highway department. All things that need to be done, but no one in the town's going, well, that's great. You know what I mean? So I always wanted to deliver something to the community that would fit all ages. The reality is plenty of grandparents have their kids over, and they could take them there, the parents could take them there, the nanny can take them there, the kids will have the ball. And you have a bunch of soccer fields there, and then the kids get done playing soccer, running through that splash pad. You can't round in it in this day and age, because the water never gets more than an inch, right? Inch and a half. And it's all clean, nice water, beautiful, and I just felt it would be a nice add to the community. So that's where I came from. And I pushed each year when the cap budget came across. And this year it just had a little more oomph. So that's where we are.
Anyone else want to comment?
I just make a comment. I think I said at a meeting, but it might have been a memorial meeting, that I was down in Hampstead, North Carolina, with my son and my granddaughter was there. And we were looking for something to do, and we ended up going to a park. It was by the local Rotary had put it on. And it was a playground, beautiful new equipment. It was great running around. But I was sitting there and looking at the board that basically listed all their people on board of the Rotary and all the donors and all that kind of stuff. And I just kind of, and this is when, you know, there was a whole bunch of stuff going around, you know, these two different things seem to be in line with each other, and I thought, how great would it be for this park to be named after something, and for me to learn something just sitting here and reading about it? And it just makes sense. Again, they're two separate things, but if they could combine, if this could be a draw for people because they want to go to the spray park and learn about these three men, I just think that's a win. Yeah, so I
And
think,
it's because of the number of people.
Right.
and I appreciate John's effort. I will gladly, not gladly, but I will shyly raise my hand and say, I was one of the guys on the spray park. What are you talking about, John?
I want.
And I was all for
I don't want any credit. Zero credit. I just think it's something that we can deliver.
Cindy or Karen, any other comments?
Just that that whole thing, John, I'm grateful that you did all the research that you did because it makes me proud to be part of something that I think our community can enjoy for many years.
I would agree 100%. A lot of, you did yeoman's work, John. John Avery.
The only thing I'd like to add is that because we have been working kind of behind the scenes on the spray park, I did put together a budget with the great assistance of John and Labella and one of the spray park vendors. And we feel that, it encompasses a lot more than just a spray park. I did not put anything in the budget regarding the military memorial because I felt that that was a decision that this board needed to make tonight, one way or another. And then we will do our research and make sure that we've got the funding for something that's very appropriate for the sacrifice those three gentlemen made. So I tried to separate that. Plus, there has been talk of fundraising, and I feel very strongly that if there is a fundraising effort, I want that to go to the military memorial. I really don't want that to be for a spray park. I think the spray park is something that the town will fund, obviously, through tax revenue is one of the sources. But by the same token, I think it's important that if there is any fundraising that goes forward, that goes directly to the veterans, the memorial for these three individuals that they, we've got some great ideas from the committee on, what a plaque could look like, what the insignia on page 1 by Sarah Martin. And I'm not sure, I never did ask you who Sarah Martin is.
She's married to the commander of the unit.
Which to me is fantastic. And I don't have a educated opinion on what she made of, but to me, that would be, should be an essential part of any type of memorial of dedication to this gentleman.
Andy came up with the concept of naming the spray park dust stuff.
It's an interesting idea.
Once you get the dust off and when you're running through the spray park, and that's the name of the New York State group. I was like,
Yeah.
okay, off to the races.
we talked about naming it after the three men, but that kind of gets to be a mouthful.
No,
I think something
Now, the memorial
concise.
is gonna be the three men.
Yeah, but I think there should be something, whether it's part of the memorial or something else that says what dust off means, and it is a very important motto to the medevac. So I think that's a good idea.
And then John and I are meeting with the veterans, VFW, Legion, I'm sorry, on September 9th to discuss some fundraising because they're certainly well behind this effort. Supporting.
I have a question about your budget. Is this
Sure.
for that?
Sure.
Yeah. The buildings, what is that? Restrooms?
Yes, so we found out from discussions with the Monroe County Health Department that we could no longer have what I would call an elaborate porta-john that's there now. Elaborate is in quotation marks. So, they would require a full restroom. Which, in talking to the people on the committee and individuals, a pavilion with a restroom at one end, would be a full restroom. We put in a septic system, the whole 9 yards. We've had, Labella down there, they've done a perk test. We did pass the perk test. We definitely are gonna need help. I mean, don't feel qualified to lay it out as far as what exactly goes where.
So it does include pavilion.
Includes a
Oh,
pavilion,
beautiful. Okay, that's,
includes
that
a
was,
restroom,
yes,
includes,
Park benches, and includes picnic tables.
yeah, great. That was kind of, we had talked about that, we had talked
Trees,
at at one point.
should be
Again,
beautiful.
yeah,
Yes, it will be.
so, good. I just
Yeah, it's
wanted
not,
to clarify
yeah,
that.
no, it should be a place that you're really happy to go.
and the whole idea would be that we would be able to open on or around Memorial Day. This being a very significant time of 2022. Obviously, it's a goal. Sometimes you don't, when it comes to contractors, you don't always hit your goals.
And the
But
weather.
we would certainly have that as a goal. And I also think that we could build in try to get some features that would be patriotic. That would be on the spray park, possibly have some work done to the concrete, that maybe a design or add a color to emphasize the fact that this is all part of a memorial to those three gentlemen.
They should put that in the pad as well, the design and bring the spray can.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. So I've been down to the ferry before at Silver Lake, and for some reason, I don't know the backstory. Sea serpent is kind of supposedly there was a sea serpent. But anyways, they have a spray park there, and it's kind of like one of the features is this kind of serpentine thing. So I think that's kind of neat. It customizes it, makes it real, especially if it's.
Sure. Absolutely. So obviously, there's a few things I wanted to point out in the budget to you is that there's a couple of items here that have been put into reserves for other purposes that we would have to transfer at a future meeting. And then down in expenses, you see town, John and I had a chance to sit down with the highway superintendent and identify some of the items that we felt that the town highway department could take care of. And while there's still maybe a cost involved with those things, we tried to, come up with what we thought would be appropriate. It's a lot cheaper for us to have our people do it than to have somebody on prevailing wage to do it, quite frankly. So if there's some work that we can do, and plus that just kind of ties in the whole community aspect of something like this, as far as I'm concerned. So at this point, I guess I would ask if there's a motion to proceed, for the town to proceed with a spray park on Summer Road in conjunction with military memorial, and that we adopt this budget. I was involved in one other capital projects in my almost 12 years, and I can tell you that there was never a budget like this before the project started. So I would ask that if there's a motion, we can move that, Sheldon, correct?
So moved, please.
I'll second.
Is there any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Anything else that the board would like to discuss regarding the response to the military memorial committee?
I guess I would just like to discuss the fact that the 5 people on this board have never designed a military memorial. Will be involved with Ella in a reach out type of mechanism to put together a design that we get that approved. Is that our thought process?
Yes, I think they have the ability for that type of work and experience that
Or they would reach out to,
right.
I assume in their soft cost line item, there would be like an architecture firm that will design. Sure. Is that part of,
I think they have the ability
Yeah.
to take
and
that.
I think it's important for a
Oh, yeah, no, that should be us,
Yeah.
something that we would say yay or nay. And maybe
Or
about one.
maybe several choices,
Options.
options.
Great, okay.
That we can, have. I mean, I talked to the people at the soccer league and they said that the parking lot that we have there now is adequate. But if we're gonna have other features at that property, probably should enlarge the parking lot. And I talked to Andy about that. That's something we can do internally. And once we have some type of, we get through tonight and I touch base with Bella, we'll get some more further information. I think the next, it shouldn't be too long before we, I would like to schedule some type of a groundbreaking event. Make sure that anybody who are family members of any of those three gentlemen are invited, that those family members have an appropriate event for a groundbreaking.
If you could just refresh my memory, so you've got the tennis courts, is there a restroom over by the tennis courts?
So it's not on that side.
No, I know it's on the opposite side, that's my
It's the
question, is,
same kind of
what is,
glorified portage.
is it without walking through the salt barn? I mean, is it feasible to be there and go between the two or not really?
Like I said,
You'd have to go out.
I mean, you could walk, there's trails, you'd have to,
Yeah, there's trails, because in the back, that's all part of that park.
you'd have to maybe get through a hedgerow. But we clear some stuff out. Easy.
Yeah.
Well, that would make sense, actually.
I mean, because I'm just trying to think of it, most towns have a town park. I mean, this almost is like a town park, we got tennis courts, we got whatever, they're just kind of like, they got
Is
a
it?
salt
There's a
barn
highway
in
department
the middle. So I'm just kind of wondering if there's a way that, and again, this is a discussion for a different time, but we can make it feel like a town park.
We could eventually run a sidewalk between the two. Right on the shoulder of the road.
Yep.
It's our road, so we don't have to jump through too many hoops with
Yeah.
anybody else.
Okay, good, yeah, because I know that was concern amongst, in the committee, we did have discussions regarding that.
And I'll just reiterate that the reason we didn't go on the other, on the west side of the highway department is because it was used as a landfill for many years. And we were advised by the town engineer that we would have an uphill battle
Yeah,
if we were to pursue this type of thing. Anything else? Let's move on to writings of Mendon. This is a release of a maintenance bond. This is a revised item.
We just did this, didn't we?
Yes,
We're doing it again.
yes.
I make a motion to release the maintenance bond on right on page 1.
I'll second it.
So we did this in our last meeting. However, we received the amount from the engineer of DeFelice Development. When we received the amount from the bank, it was off by 30 cents. So that's why we're doing it again. That way we've got all our i's dotted and t's crossed. Any other discussion?
That's a problem, I'll give you the 30 cents.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Next is to establish a public hearing for code change. So I would ask that we establish the public hearing for September 13th.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Chair, we already
Oh, we already had one? I'm sorry, I must have missed it. So do you have a copy of the local law? This is to amend section 260.13 RA5 residential agricultural district, chapter 260. And basically it deletes subparagraph 12 of paragraph D, which is special for profit entertainment uses at events. So under the current code, you can apply for a special use permit for entertainment and special events in a residential zone. This would eliminate that and would only be available in a business zone. Did I say that correctly?
You did.
Any other discussion?
I'm not understanding it, John. Can you explain that a little better?
Well, maybe Sheldon should. He's better at explaining these things than I am.
So it's just an anomaly in the code that it would allow repeated events, commercial events in an RA5 district, which is totally inconsistent with the intent of an RA5 district. This really belongs only in a business district. Because the way it is now, you could in your backyard, let's say you have a 5-acre lot, well, it's an RA5, right? You could have repeated commercial events for profit in a residential agricultural zone, which is totally inconsistent.
So you could have a circus, basically, every time the planning board allowed you to, a special use permit, you could have a circus in your backyard, parking and everything else under the sun.
Are there habituals, obviously they're not offenders now because it's not part of the code, but are there properties or residents that it's become an issue with?
What's the, I would say there's a potential. Would you say that's accurate?
There's no question.
Yes.
I was gonna say. Yes, you keep saying it's family.
Oh, okay.
Big family.
Karen, does that
Yes, it does, thank you.
take care of it? I'm sorry, I can't really see it, but
I know.
Yeah, no,
I'm dodging everybody else. Anything else anybody would like to mention? Okay, is there, all in favor? Moving on to public hearing? Any opposed? Thank you. We'll move back on to public comment. Sir?
My turn?
Yes, sir.
Fantastic. That means I gotta wake up again. No, seriously. Results. Attending this meeting. I apologize, I should not have left this meeting. That's very remarkable things. But one of the thoughts that I had, it kind of materialized tonight, is what's wrong with having a spray park? And if you want, call it the 3 Veteran Safe Memorials Spray Park. That's a great idea. But by the same token, we do have something that is visible to all kinds of people, huge numbers of people. That's right outside the window here. So my thought is, and I heard it expressed during your conversation, two things. Do 2 things. One is, I like the idea of this park up on Semmel Road, because there's almost no traffic up there. We're in a great place. And to say, we'll do it, but we're gonna honor these 3 veterans for their selflessness, protecting lives and property in this area. God bless them. Yes, I'm all in favor of that, guaranteed, 100%. But we have this memorial park right out here. Now, how much more would it cost to put 3 more bricks in that, these 3 veterans in that circle? I think it's $50 a brick. I ain't gonna afford that. Okay, and if you want, I'm willing to pay it. But how about, I don't know if you've ever been up the, I can't think of the name of the road, Westfall Road, I think it is, it runs right along the north side of Thruway 390, something, anyway. There's a park there, and there's a big eagle monument out there, great big thing. I've got a picture of it in my camera, but let's not bother that. But it's a beautiful thing, and it's from an art created by an artist on Lanning Road, not Lanning, Parish Road. Walking distance from my house. I had a meeting with her. She's really interested in duplicating that eagle. And put that up right out here in the little circle. And then steal the scope and image of West Bloomfield Road but a bronze or some really more durable, than that's pressure treated wood now. But much more durable, like some of it in the middle of the circle with maybe a plaque. And I've written something, and I'm willing to give it to you if you want it. Memorial to the selflessness of Americans that have made this country great. Selflessness. The analogy I use is, look at a sports team. Every sports team is composed of people who are doing their best. They want to be known for the best. And their performance is the best they can do. But, great big letters, bold letters, but never at the expense of the team. That is why the teams in this country are so dynamite. That is a basic characteristic. And that's what that crew did. I'm seeing it all over, not only in the New York State Army National Guard, the armed forces, police departments, search and rescue, health and welfare people, doctors, nurses, and that sort of thing. It's occurring every day. And just a simple little monument out here, doesn't anything big, glorious, clever thing. A simple little monument recognizing these three individuals who are protected property, lives, people, and men when their aircraft was coming down. Now, I feel very strongly about this. There's a reason for it. Because when I was in the service, post commander called me, and I was in charge of depot operating equipment, Tobion Army Depot, just outside Scranton, Pennsylvania. Post commander came into my office, and he said, "Look, I would like you to facilitate the recovery of a crashed C-130. C-130, if you don't know what it is, it's a cargo plane. 2 engines. 1 engine, propeller, shed a blade. Out of balance, ripped the engine out of the wing. Now you got a 1 engine plane, heavy, it's coming down. The crew on that plane wrote it down. Now the cargo man really didn't have anything to do. So I'm sure the captain instructed him to jump, which he did, survived, no problem. The co-pilot helped aim that plane to a lake. That's exactly what he did, up it into a lake. But the co-pilot, when he did everything he could do, he jumped to much lower altitude. I believe he broke his arm and some other minor damage, but he survived it too. The pilot selflessly rode it into the lake. The result was obvious. I was looking out my window the night of that crash, the late after that crash. I've seen helicopters going around before, but never with their landing lights lit. That did not look right to me. But then I was distracted back to what I was doing. And a news flash about the helicopter crash. Did that bring back memories of 66 until we had Army Depot? I had just suppressed a lot of that. I see the possibility here with your interest of modifying the monument that's here. This is a cemetery. Monument here to honor the selflessness of some of the individuals in this country that have dedicated their lives and security of their families to the good of the country, as these 3 individuals did. So on that note, I will say thank you, appreciate the time.
Thank you for your comments, sir, and your service.
You're highly welcome. I can speak for everyone to believe who in person did it for you, each and every one of
Is there a motion? Oh, I'm sorry, Muffy? Thank you.
Good evening, Muffy
South from Brittany House Drive, Pioneer Falls, New York. It's obvious to me that Mr. King is very passionate about his thoughts and his ideas. And if I may suggest to you, sir, that you visit the village board of trustees in the village-owned property. And perhaps they would be interested in your ideas for an addition to the Veterans Monument.
I don't know, is the village,
We
the
can't
town
do it.
interested?
I don't know if the village, I have
The
no
point
idea.
is that the town has no control over the village memorial. You'd have to
Property
address,
stops at the driveway.
you would have to address the village board.
I guess I thought the village was part of the town.
It's an independent municipality inside the
Okay, would you like me to pursue that?
town. It's your choice. It's your choice.
Well, I realize I can pursue it anyway. It would be nice to know that.
We're very happy with where we're headed, is what I guess I should say.
Thank you, Muffy, for adding. Anything, anybody else? Danny?
You approved the budget. What was the total dollar for that?
Sure.
Ballpark, if you want the exact.
It was in the.
Oh, there, that way. Total budget was $992,820.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Is there a motion for adjournment?
I'll say.
Any other comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you very much.